Good morning or evening, wherever you are. I'm Gina Gilmore, and I am back today with a new tangle, again, starting with the letter A. This time we're going to be looking at A's. A's is a lovely little tangle. Looks kind of like this. There's different variations of it, and it's by Judy Murphy. In this tangle that I've been working on, the other day, I showed you how to draw 8-alpha, which is a nice, solid-looking tangle. In fact, it reminds me of wood, maybe a cane that was carved. And so whenever I have anything that's very solid and dark, it's nice to sometimes come back and contrast it with something that's light and frilly and airy. So I bordered these two adelphas with the A's. So I'm going to show you today how to make these A's and some variations on them. They're actually very easy to do and a lot of fun. Okay, I'm going to be using my 01 and my pencil for blending. Although I don't do a lot of shading on the A's, but I will be using my 01 micron pen, my pencils, not sure which pencil I'll be using, and that's about it, because I do have a tortilla in case I decide to blend. But that's about all that I will need for today's tangle, okay? All right, I'm going to start off with just a piece of white paper, so you can see it here. I'm not gonna cut it or anything. This is just a full-size 8.5 piece of lightweight cardstock, mainly because my sketchbook is totally full and I've got to go buy a new sketchbook today. One thing I will do is that I am going to very lightly sketch 2 lines parallel. And this will just kind of help me keep my A's lined up. Think about it as like having lined notebook paper so that the A's kind of will all be the same size. Again, Zentangle does not have to be perfect, guys. So don't worry if it's not. So you might not be able to see these. Okay, they're very light, so you might not be able to see them, but they are there. Then, to start, I'll take my 01 and I'm going to make a cursive A, come down, come back up, make a nice little curly Q. And that's the first one. Very simple. Then I'm going to do the same thing, make a little tail, coming out, coming up and down, and make a nice little curly Q. Do try to do better than I did on that one. That one got a little crooked. This is better. And I want to try to make my curly Qs, the crosses, to kind of come across at the same place each time. This makes a nice little border again, and which is what I used on my little tangle with 8-alpha. So that's the beginning. That's the basic. This is the basic version. Now, if you want to get fancy, there are a lot of really nice little variations where you can fancy it up. You can see here's one that's been fancy. This is a variation, another variation, and a third variation. And this time, this one was done in a column. I'm not too sure about this one. There may be places where I can use it. I'm going to keep it. I'm going to play with it, and we'll see what happens. All right, let me show you the next variation. I'm going to come back underneath with my pencil, and I'm going to have to turn my paper if you don't mind. Even if you do mind, I'm still going to turn my paper. Just keep them lined up. This time, I'm not going to take the A. Okay, you know what? I'm going to make another line. I don't want these to get right into each other. There we go. That'll keep them. So here's our next variation. I'm going to not take the A all the way to the top. I'm going to leave some room. You can come almost to the top. Again, there's no mistakes. Well, we're not trying to be perfect. It's the process. It's enjoying the moment. It's getting into that flow. Okay, so the next part we do on this variation is very, very simple. We just come back and above on the top of each A, we make a little small orb. Okay, so this is variation. I'll call this variation 1. Okay. Variation 2, which is my favorite, starts off like variation 1. Not much different. Okay. Actually, I like these if I make them a little smaller. I think they look better, but for today, I'm making them kind of large. All right, now like variation 1, I'm going to come back and I'm going to put a little orb right above each of the A's. Here, let me get my hand out of the way. Now, in between right here at this bottom point, I'm going to come back over here and I'm going to make little triangles. I didn't quite touch this. And I'm going to call this variation 2 and 3 because here's what you can do. You can leave them just like that, or you can come back and fill them in. So that's a choice that you have when you're doing this particular variation. Is to make it like that. And it's just, you know, it's totally up to you on how you want to do it. There's so many variations, and there's nothing that says this is the way you have to do it. You can embellish any way you choose to do it, any way that makes your heart happy. So this is the basic A's. Now, I'm going to go back, and I'm going to take my one that I was working on yesterday, and I'm going to show you how I did this one, because I just did two. And I'm going to make a little line here, just a guideline. I'll erase it. Okay. And I'm just going to start here. Make my A's. And since on the others I put the little orb toppers, I'm going to continue that. I'm going to put my little orb toppers. On this one. So now I have two patterns. The Alpha, which was the first video that I made for you. And now separating the two Alphas, I have my lighter frilly pattern with the double A's. On the back of this, I have the name of the patterns that I used in case I forget. And later on I want to come back and use them again and can't remember the name. I have them right here. Okay. If you check out some of my links, there will be some links to some really good resources. Tanglepatterns.com. Here, I'm going to write it down here for you. Tanglepatterns.com is an excellent resource for finding thousands of different patterns, and each one comes with its own individual step out. So I hope you will come back and join me for my next video when we fill in our two corners with a very fancy flower type design. Again, a tangle starting with the letter A. Thank you for joining me today. Happy tangling.